In this episode, we answer audience questions from beginning to end. We tackle topics from tires, to cars for college kids, to is there any way to make a minivan look cool? Next on Talking Cars. Hi everybody, welcome to another episode. I'm Mike Monticello.
I'm Ryan Pizlikowski.
And I'm Jennifer Stockberger.
So for the last few episodes, we've been asking you to reach out to us at talkingcars@icloud.com with text messages, emails, video submissions, and you know what? We've been loving the response. We've frankly been inundated with questions and submissions and videos. And so we're going to mix things up a little bit today, and we're going to do an all questions episode. All questions all the time, because we've got a pile of questions to get through and answers to give to you guys. So what we want to do is we're going to start with the video submissions because
like the videos,
we like seeing your faces. So we're going to start with those, and we're going to start actually with Matt from Tennessee. Dave, can you play the clip for us?
Hi Consumer Reports, I'm Matt in Tennessee. After an incredibly long time spent trying to select a sports car to buy, my wife and I have made our pick. Mazda is finally going to offer the option of a limited slip differential on the top trim level MX-5 RF starting with the 2019 model year. So we can't think of any more reasons not to buy one. Consumer Reports is regularly buying just introduced models with very specific lists of options, right? How do you go about getting a good price on a car that's brand new? How long would you typically have to wait to start finding lower prices? And if you have to special order it, are you basically stuck paying MSRP? If we're willing to pay MSRP, how would we go about finding a car as fast as we can? We're not afraid of a road trip. Thanks, and we love the show.
Okay, so Jen, Matt is looking for a very specific build on his car. What kind of tips do you have for him?
Right, so really it's a shopping question for Matt. And one thing I want to say is he's correct that when we're shopping and doing all these cars we buy, we are looking for very specific sets of features and things, but we're also looking for great volume. You know, we're looking for the car that's most representative of what people are going to be buying. So we may not have as hard a time as Matt does because he's going to be looking for something that isn't perhaps what everybody's buying. So with that in mind, a couple of tips I would say is certainly do as much negotiating as he can do before he kind of tips his hat that he's looking for a very specific vehicle. And like he said, you know, it may be at another dealership. It may be in another state. Let your dealer do your work for you. Let him find your car. And they will do that. They'll locate and tell you. You may be the one traveling, but they can always do swaps.
A road trip in that car would be fun.
Road trip is fun. Yeah. The other thing is they may have to just order the car, which would mean waiting for a few months, which isn't the end of the world.
Be patient.
And you know, if it's a good dealer, they may still give you, $500, $1,000 off anyway.
Right.
You guys have, because there's always some leeway in what they paid for the car versus what, the MSRP is. So just because you're ordering a car doesn't mean you have to pay MSRP.
Correct.
Right.
They obviously love you to take a car that's on their lot.
Right.
That's the easiest for them.
Right.
So you may pay a little for them to do that legwork, but let them do the work and negotiate as much as you can before you get to those specifics.
Right. Yep. Okay, let's move on to the next video question. This one is from John at Lackland Air Force Base, and it has to do with the Tesla Model 3. Let's take a look at that.
Hey guys, I love this show. I saw your quick drive on the Tesla Model 3, and I was curious, do you guys think the $35,000 base option will be a good practical choice for a family of 4?
Okay, Ryan, Tesla Model 3 with the standard battery, which isn't out yet. Family car or not?
I'm gonna say no.
Okay.
Could it work? Sure, it could work, but it's gonna be tight. I don't know how old his kids are, what stage of life they're at in their family, but I know child seats are not easy to put in the back of that car.
Right. It's a pretty tight.
Yeah, I don't have any children or anything, but our child seat testers.
We told him.
Yes, it's tight. It's a tight back seat. The latches are hard to get, I guess. You could maybe elaborate on that. But I know for myself, I don't fit back there. If you want to take 4 adults with you, it's a tight car. You're not going to get the 300 plus mile range that we got out of our big battery Model 3. And if you're on a road trip with young kids, you want to be charging a battery somewhere for
That's
a couple
good
hours?
point. Yeah, do you want to be somewhere where it's maybe really hot and now you're charging the car? And
I mean it's maybe might sound enticing, but I don't think it's a good idea.
So maybe not for the Model 3 as a family car.
And we don't know when it's available.
We don't know when
they
the
keep
standard
changing
battery.
that
Yeah, we don't know
production
when
of
the standard.
that's available.
Yeah, we don't know when the standard battery is going to come out. We also don't know what the range is going to be of that battery.
Right.
Okay, let's move on to the next one. This is Jared from Iowa. Let's take a look at that.
Hey, Consumer Reports. I just bought a 2014 Dodge Grand Caravan, paid $13,000. It has 68,000 miles. It's in very good shape. My question is, it rates average in your reliability, but how well do you think it will hold up for at least 5 years of time? The Honda Odyssey rates exactly the same, but cost a lot more, and they're hard to come by in my area.
All right, so Jared bought a 2014 Dodge Grand Caravan, and I think a little bit is he wants to know, how does it compare to an Odyssey? Did he make the wrong decision? And I don't know that he necessarily made it. He actually made a good decision in a sense because he bought the 2014.
Right.
If he had bought an earlier version, that's when the reliability was really not good on these things.
Right.
And he makes a good point that for 2014, the Honda Odyssey and the Dodge Grand Caravan both were average. So what I would say is, he's wondering, will it last 5 years? Well, we don't know for sure, but probably I think the best thing you can do is take care of your car. There's a saying, if you take care of your car will take care of you.
Right.
I don't know, is that a saying? Or
I think
let's
he
fact
might
check
have
that.
just
Is that a saying, or did I just make that up?
I think you just made that up.
I made
It sounds good, though.
Fact check, I made that up. But anyway, so the point is, do the regular maintenance, get the oil changed,
Right.
and you know what? Maybe it will last the 5 years.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no reason why it shouldn't last the 5 years. So I think, it's not necessarily a bad choice, although it's the earlier ones that, good thing he stayed away from
Good
those,
thing
because
he,
those were
14,
problem
that was
cars.
the key. That
Yeah.
was the key. Yep.
All right, let's move on to the next question. This is Matt from Iowa, and he's asking about the new Mazda 6. Let's take a look at that.
Hi, Talking Cars. It's Matt from Iowa. I just watched your most recent episode talking about the 2018 Mazda 6, and I noticed you guys mentioned the fuel economy was a little bit lower. Last year I bought a 2017 Mazda 3 hatchback, and I noticed that the fuel economy dropped a little bit when they added G-vectoring technology. So I'm curious on your thoughts on why the fuel economy decreased for the 2018 model that you tested. Maybe it's due to the more sound insulation. It's heavier, and maybe the G-vectoring. Thanks.
So this person's asking about the new Mazda 6. The fuel economy has gone down a little bit in our testing, and wondering a little bit about why and what's going on with that.
Yeah, so pretty much what he said. It got heavier. We tested it in 2014. It got 32 miles per gallon.
Right.
We tested it just now, recently. It got 28, and it weighs more. We actually weigh these cars when we get them and we check them in. The car weighs 216 pounds more than it did. And like he said, there's more sound deadening. It's a more refined car. It's a nicer car.
It made it nicer. Right?
Yeah,
Exactly.
it shows.
The sound insulation, contributed to the weight, and that's what made it a nicer car. The fuel economy has gone down. I think it's a little bit interesting that Mazda stuck with a 6-speed automatic.
When others are going.
If they had maybe gone with an 8, a 9, or a 10-speed, it's possible that some of that fuel economy could have come back, although there's no guarantee of that.
Right.
And there's also no guarantee the drivability might be worse. We've seen these, extra speed transmissions, the drivability sometimes goes down a little bit. So
also, the recent one we tested had a 19-inch wheel package with a W speed rated tire, which is an ultra high performance all-season tire. The 2014 that we tested had V speed rated a 17-inch wheel package. So just in that alone, you can see some fuel difference also.
So higher performance tires, sometimes fuel economy goes down.
Correct.
That's where you go. Okay.
Probably help the handling, but probably hurt the fuel economy.
It's a trade-off.
Yeah. All right, so that's going to do it for our video questions. Again, we love seeing your faces. Keep sending those in to TalkingCars@iCloud.com. So now we're going to move on to more regular questions, whether it's from YouTube or from text message or emails. But we also still get some regular mail from people. I actually have a letter here from Michael, who wrote a really nice handwritten letter. And actually, we all got one.
We did.
Interesting that we all got one from the same person.
Handwritten.
And I will
We
say,
have one fan. Michael.
yeah, I will say mine was mostly about talking about cars that we have in common. Ryan's letter, though, I read that, it was more about him and how much he liked him, especially his mischievous smile. I'm not seeing it. I'm just not seeing it.
I really appreciate in this era of texting and everything that Michael took the time,
took the time.
to not only write a letter, but to write individual letters. We thank you. I think that's pretty
Greatly
cool.
appreciated.
I do too.
Really cool.
So thank you, Michael. So let's move on to some more questions. This is Joseph, and here's what he says. He says, I'm in the market for some tires, and I've been looking at info from CR and another publication. How do measurements compare across performance categories? Sometimes a high-performance tire from one brand is cheaper than the cheapest tire from another brand. I'm not sure how to compare them when they have similar speed and traction ratings. So, Jen, I'm going to throw this one to you.
Okay.
Can you help this person out a little bit?
Yeah, so first of all, our ratings are divvied up by speed rating mostly. So you have your H and Vs, and you have your higher performance Ws, Zs, and then the winter tires separated. But we do make an effort, and Ryan is closer to it, but to rate them across the universe. So yes, the rating should be comparable across types. So if you're seeing really high traction, say for your high performance, you're probably seeing only average traction for more lower speed rated all season versions. So that said, yes, you can make the comparison. I do want to caution that the prices we show are for the size we tested.
Right.
So that's important. So when it's a high performance, it's an 18-inch. When it's a S&T or H&V, it's probably a 16-inch. Just be careful of comparing those prices across types. And we also, our recommendation is always to stick with the speed rating that came on your car for the best balance. You can go up if you want to tweak the handling up a little bit, but try not to go down.
Okay, fair enough. Let's move on to another question. This is from Nigel. He says, we have a 2016 Acura MDX and really like it except for the navigation system. Why does Acura switch off most of the navigation functions when the car is in motion and there's someone in the passenger seat? Why couldn't they have used the passenger seat sensors to allow that person to use the system while someone else is driving? I mean, it's a good point, Ryan. What's really going on here, and is this unique to Acura?
So it's not. Almost all car manufacturers that have a navigation system, there's some sort of restrictions in there. People will always figure out a way to cheat these systems, figure something out. I mean, you could have a pile of books on your front seat.
Right, that's what
now
I was
you have
thinking,
a passenger, and there goes your, the nav now works.
Which is why they're not doing the
right.
sensor
And
thing.
they're just cutting that out right out of the picture immediately. There's no chance of, you need to be pulled over before you can put anything in the system and then go on your way safely. It takes the liability off the automaker.
Right.
It's one of the reasons, actually, that we like the CarPlays and stuff, because you can put it in your phone,
Right.
but have it appear on your nav. So, but it is a safety. It is for people's benefit, because we're tempted.
Yeah.
We'll just put in an address while we're driving.
Right.
Right, because
So,
we're always in a rush, so we
Right.
don't do it ahead of time, so we want to do it while we're driving.
Right.
But most cars you
But
can't
it's
do that.
not unique to Acura.
It's not unique to
Ryan's
Acura.
point.
Okay, next question. We're trying to do this rapid fire fashion
Yes,
that
right.
we normally don't do, but we're trying to get through a bunch today. So this is from Michael. Nice name.
Goodness.
Says, I've been a fan of the show since episode 1. Will you be testing the 2019 Toyota 86 TRD edition? I've used your ratings to purchase a 2017 Toyota 86 with a manual transmission. Good man. And I'm wondering if the changes would be an improvement for the street and the track. Thanks. So the answer is almost for sure we won't be getting a TRD edition. We usually don't test cars, which would mean we'd have to buy it. We don't buy such special niche
We
type.
could do the rental.
That's what we'll
But,
probably
yeah.
do. If we can talk to Gabe and say, Gabe, we really should try this TRD.
version.
Try it out, yeah.
And then we potentially do a first drive on it and give our feedback then. But I would say good chance that it is going to handle better, that you're going to see improved performance. That's my guess, but we can't say that till we actually get the car in.
Right.
So the answer is no, we probably won't be testing it. Next question, Augie from San Francisco, California. Hey, CR. How do you drive turbos efficiently? I daily drive a 2014 Volkswagen GLI manual. Loving the manuals.
Yeah, a lot of manuals.
And my average fuel economy is 23 mpg. My commute is half highway, half city. I find that if I keep the RPMs too low, I have no power. How do turbos get such good EPA ratings? So the EPA test seems almost geared to turbos in a sense, in that it doesn't require a lot of heavy throttle.
Right.
So I think that's one way that happens with the EPA test, where they do better, and then it seems like out in the real world, the cars don't do quite as well when you're really driving around. So the bottom line is to get the best fuel economy out of a turbo, you're going to try to not have the turbo spool up as much as possible. So it means short shifting. It means, meaning don't shift at such a high RPM. And more than anything, don't be hard on the throttle. Because when you get hard on the throttle, that's when the turbo really sucks back, that's when you really start sucking back fuel. So you do have to drive them gently, even more gently than a regular non-turbo engine to get that good fuel economy.
To get the fuel economy.
But then when
Which
you,
may not be how Augie wants to drive.
Right, but the benefit is when you really want that power, you have it, and it's great. But it's going to be a fuel economy hit. So you have to drive them kind of gently.
Right.
Next question. I live in South Florida, so using AC is a necessity. I've seen a lot of contradictory advice about which settings are the best. What are the most fuel-efficient settings for using AC? Thanks. Big fan, no pun intended. Get it?
Big fan.
I didn't get that the first time I read it.
Right now either. That's
We
funny.
are slow.
We are. We're ignoring.
Jen, what do you have to say here?
All right, so a couple things. One, we have done some work of what the penalty on fuel economy is with the AC on. Multiple colors, multiple temperatures, and you're right, it does take a tax. It's between 1 and 4 miles per gallon, depending on the car and the temperatures. But we did cover this last year of the ways to set it to make it the most fuel efficient.
Right.
A couple things. Don't pre-cool. That air conditioners are most efficient when the car is moving. So
Right.
don't try and cool your car down for 5 minutes before you get in. Just get in, crack the rear windows, purge out the hot
That's
air,
right. Yeah, I
let
love
it
that
go.
tip. Yeah.
So make sure your air filter's clean. If you can get to it, some of them are behind the glove box. Most are still accessible.
The cabin
some
air
may
filter.
not. But the cabin air
Right.
filter. Sorry.
Yep.
Yes, good. Set it and leave it if you have automatic temperature control. Don't think that just by setting it colder, it's going to be better. Let it do its thing. It will moderate the fan. And the only other thing for more comfort was if you have auto stop start, when that goes off and the engine stops at idle, it does stop the compressor.
Yeah,
So
that's
you
when I
may
get heated up.
immediately feel that.
Right.
So if it's really hot and you want to keep it running, shut that
Okay,
off.
good answer. Next question is from Tony. My insurance company asked me if I have daytime running lights or a vehicle location system. I'm assuming this because they give discounts for those. Why haven't I heard of getting a discount on car insurance if you have active safety systems? I think this is a great question. Jen, I'm going to throw this to you.
Yeah, and it's coming. I will tell you, I think I've said before, we leased this Impreza with eyesight for my college-age daughter, and we did get a discount for the eyesight system. So it's coming. I would ask, if your insurance company is not, I would ask another insurance company because they are beginning to make those discounts.
Right.
And a lot of it has to do with the data. It's showing effective in insurance claims and reducing claims. So why wouldn't they?
So it's coming.
Right.
Yeah.
Next question. Charles says, I've recently noticed that gas pedals in newer vehicles are mounted to the floor rather than being suspended. I assume it's a safety concern to prevent floor mats from getting wedged under the gas pedal. Is this the primary reason, and have there been many accidents caused by this? Ryan, this is an interesting question because I remember, years ago they were all floor-mounted gas pedals, and now they've gone to this, higher mount.
Right. Yeah.
But now it seems
So-
like we've seen some recently where they're back to the floor again. What's
coming
going
back.
on?
Yeah, so it's nothing new. Gas pedals have been mounted on the floor before. In fact, most of the German manufacturers still do that. BMWs, Mercedes, Porsches, they all have them mounted on the floor. And maybe that's sort of a sports car thing.
Yeah.
But the recent ones we've been seeing in other cars with it mounted to the floor, and we can only speculate that it's probably it's safer for the floor mat because
Right.
it doesn't allow the floor mat to bunch up against
Get
it.
up under there,
If it's
right.
hinged at the floor, it doesn't have any leverage to push that pedal down and get you into a bad situation. But it's not a new thing, and I
Would
think.
it have anything to do with heel and toe, like you guys drive
Well,
that way?
that's what
Is that
kind of what I was
why?
alluding to with the sports car thing.
Yeah.
Some people in the motorsports world would use both feet on the pedal.
Does it
When
let
you have
them
the
be
when you
closer?
when you have the a full length pedal that's mounted on the floor, it's easier to do heel
It
toe.
goes all the way down.
Right.
Right.
Or
yeah.
split
now,
foot driving.
these days,
yeah.
usually when the pedals are really set up great for heel and toe, and it's actually more ball of your foot and side of your foot.
Side of your foot. That's
and
what I
that's
call
what.
split
ma-
foot,
But
yeah.
maybe that's actually we've had to switch to that because the pedals are the gas pedals mounted. Isn't floor
The other
mounted.
way,
So now
right.
going back to floor mounted, we can go back to actually doing. Real heel and towing.
Right. I prefer them mounted on the floor, but
Yeah, me too. All right, next question. I was looking for new tires and had seen that CR had great results with the Pirelli P4 4-Season Plus tires. When shopping for them, I noticed that there's a 65,000 mile warranty on the 215-55 R17 94V Hope you're memorizing that, Ryan. And a 90,000 mile warranty on the 215/60 R17 96T. I know it's always recommended to stick to the manufacturer spec, but can I go with the larger size since they can last 90,000 miles? Ryan, you're one of our preeminent tire engineers, tire testers. What do you got for us?
So no.
So short answer, no.
So from the question, I don't know what came on his vehicle originally. It sounds like it did come with V speed rated tires originally. Like Jen said earlier, you always stick with what you have, what your car came with. It was designed that way for a reason. The speed rating is actually is the tire's ability to resist heat buildup. Right. So if you have a tire, if your car is supposed to have V's and you put a lower speed rating such as a T, it could potentially not handle the heat buildup, and you could have a tire failure and a crash and whatever else. So do not do that. And you want to stay with the same size too, which it's slightly different size, and it will probably not rub, it'd be okay, but the speedometer is going to be off. There's other issues.
So we can see the point, what he was going for, but but don't do it.
But it also makes sense. The higher performing one, where you're going to get
go carry
less,
more grippy, less wear.
It's a trade-off.
Or more wear.
Right. It's in the rubber compound.
You're going to get fewer miles out of it.
I will say our latest passenger car all-season tire ratings have just come out, so there might be something new on that list.
Good plug right there.
Oh, there you go.
ConsumerReports.org. Okay, next question. Blaine from Chester, West Virginia. I'm looking for a sporty compact SUV and can't decide between a 2018 Jeep Compass and a 2018 Mazda CX-5. If you had to choose between the two, which one would you get? Mazda CX-5.
All day.
Next question.
Yes.
Mike from Loveland, Colorado. Love the show, CR. That's why we put the question in
Do you notice we keep that part of the question?
You started with that, you're in.
I'm looking for a first car for my 16-year-old daughter. Must-haves, great safety, including AEB, which is automatic emergency braking, reliable, and total cost under $20,000, new or used. Bonus criteria, manual transmission and practicality for moving to college. We drive on snowy roads part of the year, so rear-wheel drive is out until she's more experienced. Jen, I'm going to throw this to you. I mean, you have a teenage daughter, you just bought a car for her, or I guess you guys kind of have these on the car, but.
I could have written this question a year ago when we were looking for a car for my daughter. So absolutely safety. We are all about crash avoidance. Right. You know, people sometimes talk about get them the biggest car you can have. We're much more about getting the safety features, keeping them out of a crash in the first place. So it's also about the handling, getting a car that they're comfortable in, driving comfortably. Absolutely the AEB. So we went with Impreza, EyeSight package. Where you might conflict a little bit is the manual transmission. Mm-hmm. We are, and we've said before on this show, the manual's a great way to keep a new driver engaged. It's a lost art. I would love that. But you'll find that some of the safety features, the automatic emergency braking, forward collision warning, are not available with the manuals.
Right. Especially with those Subarus, correct?
Right. They are not, EyeSight is not available with the Impreza or the Crosstrek with them.
So, what I was thinking, a Toyota Yaris IA could be a good choice. Mm-hmm. It's not rear-wheel drive, it's front-wheel drive. You can get it with a 6-speed manual, and it comes standard with the automatic emergency braking, even with the manual transmission. So that could be possibly a good choice.
Yeah. Right. It's not the all-wheel drive for the snow that they talk about.
But you put snow tires on.
Right. You could put winter tires on. Yep.
Okay. Next question is Brian from Ohio. Hi, Talking Cars. I recently moved to northeastern Ohio. Lots of snow. From California, where I've lived my whole life, what's the deal with taking care of cars in the snow? Do I need snow tires, and is there anything I can do to prevent rust? So I would say, during the winter, run it through an automatic car wash a few times, maybe 2 or 3 times during that winter season.
Make sure you get undercarriage,
make sure you get the undercarriage done at least maybe a couple times. Mm-hmm. When the car's really caked up with salt, go take it through an automatic car wash.
Give it a bath. Yeah, I just want to say that he's going to have to accept the fact that this thing is going to slowly rust away. Yeah. Welcome to our world.
But they're getting better. They're getting new cars are getting better.
They are getting better, but it's not California.
Right. And also asked about snow tires, and I'm a big fan. If you live in an area like he's saying where he gets a lot of snow, you got to get snow tires. And you've got 2 ways you can go. Basically, you can get an extra set of cheaper steel wheels. Put the snow tires on them, keep them on all the time. And in terms of they always stay on those wheels, you just swap the wheels on and off.
Right in your driveway, you can.
Or if you don't want to do that, you can just have a place swap the snow tires for the regular tires. Each.
And that saves your good wheels from the salt and sand.
That's great. That's why you get a cheaper set. All right, next question. Paul says, I take exception to your persistent opinion that it's better to have an all-wheel drive vehicle rather than a front-wheel drive vehicle when driving in the snowbelt area of the U.S. With VSC and anti-lock brakes, and that means electronic stability control and anti-lock or ABS brakes, being mandated several years ago, my experience in the northern Midwest is that I felt just as safe in a front-wheel drive car as in my all-wheel drive SUV. First thing, I don't think we actually say that. I think we're more about, it's okay to just because you live in a snow area, it doesn't mean you have to get all-wheel drive. Right. You can get a front-wheel drive or rear-wheel drive car, but again, you want to go with the snow tires.
Right.
Absolutely. So that's what has been our point. Not all-wheel drive saves you, because remember, all-wheel drive it helps you get going, but it doesn't help you stop at all. So
once you're moving, your all-wheel drive car and your front-wheel drive car with snow tires are essentially almost the same. I mean, they're going to stop and turn roughly the same.
Yeah. And it's a detriment to fuel economy for the other 6-8 months of the year when it's not snow. Now, I will say there are people, myself, I have to have it. I cannot. My driveway literally does this and comes out. I have to.
The bottom line is between front-wheel drive and all-wheel drive, whether you both have snows or both have all season, in a slippery situation, getting going uphill, the all-wheel drive is going to work better.
Right. And Ryan made a point. You may actually drive more cautiously.
Well, yeah.
I think that was a neat
If you're in
point.
a front-wheel
Share
drive.
what you were saying.
Yeah, it's a front-wheel drive car. You're at a stop sign and you go to take off with your snow tires, and the tires slip. Right away, you go, oh, it's slippery.
I need to be careful.
I need to slow down. Where the all-wheel drive car might take off without an issue at all, and you might just forget, as you're going.
False sense that it's less slippery than it is.
It's a fair point.
Yeah.
All right, next question. Joe says, I have a 2016 Hyundai Sonata Sportec 2.4. In addition to my regular job, I'm also an Uber driver. That's kind of interesting. Yeah. My car just passed the 100,000 kilometer mark, which would be about 62,000 miles in American.
Yep.
For you non-Canadians. And I want it to last a long time. Is there any special maintenance I should do now or in the near future? Ryan, you're kind of a mechanical guy. I'm going to throw it to you.
So take care of the car. Follow the manual to a T.
Someone said that earlier in the show. Who was that genius?
Oh, goodness. Yeah.
We did say that earlier. Just take care of the car. Follow the manual, the maintenance schedule to a T. Modern cars, they don't need anything extra other than what the manual says. They're designed that way. Otherwise, you'll be wasting money, I think, at that point. If you take care of it, it'll last a long time. Granted, when it gets higher in mileage, you're gonna have issues. That's with some things, and there's no way around that. Items wear. Nothing lasts forever.
Because that's not really that high a mileage yet.
No, that's not. But when he gets up over 100,000 miles,
that's when you got to start thinking.
Yeah.
But the stop and go of the Uber driving may be like harder service than long highway miles. So
but usually your manual says that too. It'll break down whether you, the type of driving that you do, and then it'll change your maintenance.
It may
your best bet is
to
just follow the manual.
Right. Okay. Next question is from Brandon. Hey CR, we have 3 kids and 2 more on the way. We have a Subaru Outback that we're looking to replace with a 7-passenger vehicle. We like long road trips and walks on the beach. No, it doesn't say that. We like long road trips and sometimes find ourselves, that was a joke, no one got it.
I got it.
We like long road trips and sometimes find ourselves in mild off-road situations. We're looking at a 3-row Toyota 4Runner, the Volkswagen Atlas, and our current favorite, the Subaru Ascent. Do you have any advice on these vehicles or an alternative that would fit our needs? Also, why don't all rear seats have the latch system? Jen, I'm going to throw this to you for a couple reasons. One, because you're super smart, and the other because you're one of our child seat experts, so you can talk about latch a little bit. What do you got for them?
All right. So first of all, congratulations, 5 kids. God bless you. Goodness gracious. So just to walk through them quick. Yes, Outback isn't going to work. Atlas, bit of spotty reliability record.
Right.
So with Ascent, first year. We're always cautious about
brand
new
vehicle with an all-new engine.
Year.
Yeah,
so I'm going to
iffy.
Right. So I'm going to go through some alternatives, which we think are good.
Okay.
Pilot. Honda Pilot. Latch in the 3rd row. You can get a configuration of a bench or a cat.
Is latch in the 3rd row uncommon or?
Yes, actually. Okay. So latch is required to kind of get to his other question. In that 2nd row, not required for that 3rd row. Okay. So it's like a bonus to have that. Latch is also limited by weight, 65 pounds, child plus child seat. So your older kids may not be able to use it anyway. Toyota Highlander, standard safety, does not have latch in the 3rd row, but super reliable. You said 4Runner, so I put in here Sequoia.
Okay.
It's I have friends who have multiple kids like you guys.
Right.
It was great for them. It's a little more bouncy of a ride. It's a little
Right.
more trucky.
Yes,
People will
absolutely.
describe it as
Right.
trucky. But if you were like in the 4Runner, it might not be too far of a stretch for
true.
you. And
Okay.
it's also about $10,000 more. And then finally, I'm going to say it, don't cringe, all-wheel drive Sienna. If
Yeah.
that's enough for
Yeah.
what you guys are doing,
Yeah.
accessing
Toyota
that
Sienna,
third row, such a great, super reliable latch in the third row.
And all-wheel drive in a minivan.
And all-wheel drive in a minivan.
Very uncommon.
Yep.
Okay, next question. Jason says, I'm in the market for a new mid-sized truck for light-duty hauling and daily driving. I'm considering buying a Toyota Tacoma TRD Sport or a Honda Ridgeline. I need help picking one to buy for around $40,000. Ryan, what do you got? What do you think?
Ooh. So he says the key phrase is daily driving.
Yeah.
Light duty hauling. If it's light duty, I would do a Ridgeline.
Yeah.
It's a better on the road vehicle. I love the Tacoma. It's more trucky. I like that off-roady. Every day, the Honda Ridgeline it's like driving a nice SUV.
Jen?
Agree. Ridgeline. And I love the in-bed storage.
Right.
It's great
So-
for when you get caught with poor weather. It's great.
Yeah, so the Ridgeline tops are compact truck ratings. The Tacoma tops the bottom of the ratings, if that's a thing. It is the worst ranked pickup. I would say, my issue with the Ridgeline, I mean, look, I know it drives great, but the bed is tiny, and it's also very, it's not very deep. So when I put my bicycles or my motorcycles in the back, it feels like they're sticking way out.
Right.
I'd say, you know what, maybe wait around and see how good the all-new Ford Ranger is as well, because that's coming.
Oh, that's true.
So that's another possibility. Another question. Carlos says, love the podcast. Again, that's why we put the question in. It makes my LA commute a lot less stressful. That's good to know. So people are listening to our podcast while they're driving. I'm in my mid-30s with a growing family, and I have enough confidence to drive a minivan. I've always been a Toyota guy and like the reliability of the Sienna. I also like the Honda Odyssey, but I'm concerned with the 9-speed transmission, and I'm not a fan of the push-button gear selector. I'm almost certain I'll get the Sienna over the Odyssey, but I want you to change my mind. So first of all, Carlos, good on you for not
practical.
worrying about the stigma of the minivan and just they make so much sense.
So
I actually
much,
think
yeah.
in some ways they're kind of cool.
We fight over them when they're here.
We do. So here's the thing. The Odyssey is a newer vehicle. It's going to feel newer. It's going to drive a little newer.
Yes.
I'd also say that the Toyota Sienna, with its new 8-speed automatic transmission, we're not in love with that transmission either. So it revs a little higher than it seems like it should, and it's not as smooth as maybe we want it to be. So I would say that there are some reasons to go with the Odyssey, and the Odyssey has a better road test score.
Yes. But
So-
Odyssey for me.
What do you got?
I'm going to say Sienna because it's got the standard safety. Toyota
Okay.
Safety center.
Always miss practicality. That's what you were last episode.
my
you're
job.
You're still there. You're like the voice
I
of
know, you
reason.
fell asleep during my answers.
That's not true. Okay, this brings us to our final question. As my college cross-country coach used to say when we were doing intervals, make it your best one, guys.
Okay, good.
So let's do it. This is Clayton. Says, I'm buying a used 2013 Honda Odyssey to replace my wife's 2012 Mazda 5 that was totaled. With a growing family, we can obviously expect a change in handling. What's one thing we could, if anything, to ease the transition from the Zoom Zoom Mazda wagon? Thanks. You know what I say? I say put some black wheels or something like that
there you go.
on the Odyssey. I had a buddy that when I lived back in California, and he was married with kids, and he had like a pickup or something. He said, I'm getting a minivan. And he wanted to, kind of cool it up or spice it up, so he put some aftermarket wheels on it, and it did make it look quite a lot cooler.
If it's not going to be Zoom Zoom, make it look Zoom.
Exactly.
There you go.
Exactly.
Yeah, and Mazda 5 was a great.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's
There's not a
you're not gonna
direct
you're not gonna
replacement
find
for
the handles like that anymore.
No, not like the Mazda.
But the
5.
Odyssey's the closest.
Yeah.
I would give him that.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's going to do it for this episode. Again, keep sending those submissions, text messages, emails, video submissions. You'll get on the show if you send in a good video submission to TalkingCars@iCloud.com. If you want to learn more about all the vehicles we talked about in this show, click on the show notes. And, that's it. We really enjoyed talking to you guys and answering your questions, and we'll see you next week.